Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Top quality equipment rentals at the right price. It's not too good to be true at Rent Right Equipment and Sales. We guarantee clean, reliable products that are up to your standards. Our family-owned business has been doing that for more than 40 years. Let our friendly and knowledgeable staff take care of you from purchase to maintenance. Saws, drills, lifts, mowers, generators, you name it, we've got it. Stop by and see our inventory today, located on Buffalo Road in Lawrenceburg.
When it's time to build a home, remodel, or add on, Hamby Builders is this area's experienced construction company. From site selections to floors, doors, windows, trim, tile, bathrooms, and kitchen, the Hamby Builders team can make your home the home of your dreams. Hamby Builders is licensed and insured with over 20 years of experience in homes in Giles, Lawrence, Wayne, and Murray counties. Trust your home construction or light commercial project to the team with experience and integrity. Hamby Builders. Call 931-629-5264 or 931-629-9472 today.
Southern Craft Manufacturing is dedicated to creating the finest quality and greatest value products in the death care industry. Southern Craft has perfected blending old world craftsmanship with modern manufacturing technologies to create a full line of steel, wood, and corrugated caskets. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, Southern Craft is now looking to hire local and regional truck drivers, welders, and production workers, each with great starting pay and a benefits package. For more information, visit southerncraftmfg.com.
Good Works at Home, formerly known as the Summit at Home, is a licensed non-skilled agency dedicated to helping you maintain your independence at home for as long as possible. Our compassionate and caring staff provide support in various areas, including dressing, bathing, personal hygiene, transportation, cleaning, and companionship. Please call our office about services, payment options, and long-term care policies at 931-762-2310. We look forward to assisting you with keeping your independence longer.
Volco Auto Supply in Lawrenceburg has a legacy of being a family-owned and operated company. Since 1927, our business has grown and evolved into today's one-stop source for all your automotive supplies. But in that time, one thing has stayed the same, and that's our commitment to our customers and their needs. At Volco Auto Supply, you'll find everything for your car, truck, or even fleet of vehicles, but with good old-fashioned customer service the way it needs to be. That's Volco Auto Supply, 416 Buffalo Road in Lawrenceburg. Visit VolcoAuto.com.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody into this Monday edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Marks, and we're going to jump right into it because we've got a lot to get to today. I promised today's episode would be mostly centered around basketball. That is still the case, but we do have some stuff to catch up with in college football. Obviously, the portal opened up on Friday, but we'll start off with a quick shout-out to the University of Wisconsin River Falls. The Falcons football team won the Stag Bowl, which is the Division III national championship game, defeating North Central 24-14 behind senior quarterback Caleb Blaha, who broke Joe Burrow's single-season yardage record of 6,039 yards. He finished this season with a total of 6,211 yards, 59 total touchdowns. Let me pull up those exact numbers again. So this season, through the air, was 415 for 611, for 4,971 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, about 68% completion percentage. And then on the ground, 248 carries for 1,218 yards and 18 more touchdowns, around 5 yards a carry. So, I mean, you cannot complain. He even had like 70 receiving yards or something strange like that. So they used that guy in all manners of the way. So 6,200 yards, 59 touchdowns, a national championship. So big shout out there to Caleb Blaha and the River Falls Falcons. Louisville running back Isaac Brown removed his name from the transfer portal after about 3.5 days. Brown announced he was entering the portal with a non-contact tag on Friday, which usually means the players know that player knows where they want to go, so everybody's not bothering them. but decided to return to Louisville, where he will, no doubt be a huge piece of the Cardinals' offense come this fall. Had gotten a crystal ball prediction to Texas, who had lost their entire running back room almost, with Wisner and Baxter both hitting the portal. So, not sure what fell through there or what didn't fall through, what happened there, but Isaac Brown back with Louisville. Ole Miss offensive coordinator Charlie Wise Jr. told On3 reporter Chris Lowe this morning that there has been no interest from him in any NFL job moving forward, and is fully committed to LSU as soon as his time in Oxford is over. Contrary, LSU... Well, I guess technically now LSU running back Coach Kevin Smith, former Ole Miss coach, states that he is fully committed to LSU and will be joining the Tiger staff immediately. So will not be with Ole Miss in their bowl game against Miami coming up on Thursday. I already talked about this on Friday. I think it's, sure, LSU's paying you this, they're your employer right now, but is it really to the point where you feel like you shouldn't be part of the coaching staff at the remainder of this run? I get the head coach left, but they have a new head coach. Everybody's starting to fill in where some pieces are missing, and now you're just kind of adding to that problem. If Ole Miss can even make it to the conference or to the national championship game amidst all this, would be a miracle. You don't see teams lose coaches just continuously throughout the season pretty much and continue to be this consistent and this dominant. But man, as good as they looked against Georgia on Thursday of last week, they're going to be dangerous. And continuing with Ole Miss, quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has signed a new NIL deal with the Rebels pending his waiver, an approval of his waiver for his sixth season of play. He is appealing that his sophomore year, or his second year at Ferris State, didn't play a single game that season because he was dealing with something respiratory issue that kept him off the field. So seemingly that would be that we've seen people get cleared for less. So this has an interesting domino effect on LSU because the Tigers are in need of a quarterback, and everything pointed to, as soon as LSU's run or Ole Miss's run in the playoff was over, that Chambliss would just hop in the portal, follow Lane Kiffin, get this waiver approved at LSU, and then go on, win a national championship and a Heisman or whatever at LSU. But that's not the case anymore. He's staying in Oxford next season. He's going to remain with Pete Golding and whoever from that staff he can or will retain. So now that playoff run has outlived the opening of the transfer portal for Ole Miss, and LSU is kind of started to look elsewhere with some names, but most of those big names and the guys that Lane Kiffin would like the most have already come off the board and are going to cost a lot of money. So let's take a look at that transfer portal because it is wide open and not sure how much craziness necessarily we've gotten, but definitely interesting to say the least. So the number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks are off the board right now. Brendan Sorsby committed to Texas Tech for a rumored $5 million. The life of a college quarterback is great. Drew Mestemaker, as everyone and their mother predicted, is going to Oklahoma State to join up with his former head coach, Eric Morris. I think that's a great move for him. Some other guys here that haven't committed anywhere, don't have a crystal ball out. Sam Levitt is still kind of up in the air. We've seen teams like Oregon thrown around. Even Kentucky. Not sure what I see. If I had to guess out of the teams left looking for a quarterback, Oregon's probably going to be the team to go for Levitt. DJ Lagway up at number 4. I think that he is maybe a shoe-in at Baylor. They lost a lot to the portal, but he has taken visits to Florida State. I believe is visiting with Virginia today, so could also be looking in the ACC as well. Dylan Raiola, this is an interesting one because he was kind of the favorite to land that Louisville job, and now Lincoln Kienholz from Ohio State has taken that move. Deuce Knight from Auburn, there's a couple of schools fighting for him. Really kind of the same people fighting for Lagway. It's the Baylors and the teams kind of like that. But I think any of those would be a great move for Knight. We saw a ton of potential from the youngster this year, and I don't know why he wouldn't stay at Auburn. But you look at the guy coming in, right below him, one spot under Byron Brown, the quarterback from USF, is almost is crystal balled to Auburn. He hasn't made that announcement official yet, but I mean, that's pretty much just time will tell on that. Knight only going to be, I believe, he redshirted this year, or technically redshirted this year. So we'll still have 4 years of eligibility left. Brown, this will no doubt be his last year. So I guess you just don't want your first year starting to be as a junior. I can understand that. But Knight, if he could end up at a place like Kentucky, I think that'd be a great spot for him. Will Stein's an awesome quarterbacks coach, and I think that's why a bunch of these guys are still kind of waiting, because they don't want to say that they're going to Kentucky, but I think they do kind of want to feel out what Will Stein's got going there and a little bit more. Rocco Beck committed to Penn State, obviously following his coach from Iowa State, Matt Campbell. Josh Hoover committed yesterday to Indiana, who is still in the playoffs and still grabbing top 10 quarterbacks out of the portal. You'll see their name pop up a couple more times as well. They already have the third highest ranked portal class. We'll look at a couple more quarterbacks like Ethan Grunkmeyer, who left Penn State and is now hasn't committed yet, but is almost confirmed to be committed to Virginia Tech following his old coach James Franklin. I think that's a great move for him. Austin Simmons from Ole Miss announced he is entering the portal following the recommitment of Trinidad Chambliss. I'm kind of unsure as to what when somebody re-signs a deal with a school that they're already going to, I'm not sure. Restructure a deal, I'm not sure exactly what. But Simmons, nonetheless, Missouri is a heavy favorite to get him. Obviously, Missouri quarterback Bo Perbula has entered the transfer portal. I believe Washington State's where he's looking as of now, with his former offensive coordinator being there. Kenny Minchey, the backup Notre Dame quarterback, has committed to Nebraska. That was where he was tied to immediately after entering the portal, obviously because Rayola had already entered the portal at that time. Aiden Childs still kind of looking around. Bo Perbula, I would say that Washington State's probably the heavy favorite as of now, but that could change. Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech, the backup, is almost 100% committed to Florida. Nothing official yet, but I think that's going to be a great pickup for the Gators. And John Summerall is going to have him another hard-nosed quarterback. Like I mentioned, Lincoln Keenholz going from Ohio State to Louisville. Cutter Boley going from Kentucky to Arizona State. Caden Hauser going from East Carolina to Illinois. I really like that pickup. Another one that I really like, Colton Joseph going from Old Dominion to Wisconsin. And then Jaden Craig going from Harvard to TCU. So still a ton of names up here. I mean, obviously Levitt is the guy that everybody wants, but I mean, Lagway, Rayola, Knight, these are all guys with a ton of potential. These are really all three guys that fall into that young category with a ton of potential. Have they shown it yet? Levitt's probably been the most keen to show it. So yeah, there will be a bunch of teams that need quarterbacks next year, and there's still a full list on this. So now we will take a look at the running back position. I'd say there's a good amount of names in here that you need to know. Caleb Hawkins, obviously, the running back from North Texas. He is going to Oklahoma State as well. Oklahoma State has the number 2 transfer portal class. Now, it is a bit top-heavy because you have a 5-star quarterback, a 4-star running back, a 4-star receiver, I think a 3-star receiver as well. Hollywood Smothers, the running back from NC State. Who's looking out for him? Who isn't? I mean, this guy had 930 rush yards before he went down this year. Nobody really peeking out over the trees on that one. Contravion Wisner, same deal. Running back from Texas is at the portal. Adam Muhammad, Raleek Brown, Caden Durham, C.J. Baxter, Dylan Edwards, some names on the top of that transfer portal. Turbo Richard, 5'8", 207-pound running back from Boston College, has committed to Indiana. Mekhi Hughes has gone from Oregon to Houston, and Oregon's still playing. Some other name, Carson Hansen, gone from Iowa State to Penn State. Abu Sama III has gone from Iowa State to Wisconsin. Jarrett Gibson from Texas to Purdue. A couple other names also in the portal, but none too big as of now. Cam Coleman, the number 1 receiver in the portal, by far the number 1 receiver in the portal. Somebody's going to get a 6'3", 201-pound receiver that is going to be one of the fastest guys on the field, is going to be able to make almost any catch you want. But he's probably going to come with a $3 or $4 million price tag on his head, which is probably why he hasn't committed somewhere. Texas is always going to be in the mix with anything when it comes to money. Any school from Texas is going to be in there. Omarion Miller has committed to Arizona State out of Colorado. Arizona State's retooling for next year, I'm telling you. DeAndre Moore, Reed Harris, Darrell Gill, Isaiah Canyon. Nick Marsh is already committed. The Michigan State wide receiver is going to Indiana, and just as that receiving core continues to get better. Terrell Anderson from NC State to USC. That's another guy you need to watch out for next year. He is going to be a problem. Wyatt Young, obviously the 4-star receiver from North Texas, is going to Oklahoma State. Chase Sowell's going from Iowa State to Penn State. You're going to see a lot of Iowa State to Penn State. You're going to see a lot of North Texas to Oklahoma State, some Penn States to Virginia Tech kind of moves. Marquise Johnson is gone from Missouri to Mississippi State. That's a good pickup for Jeff Lebby and his squad. Now onto the offensive line. Not a whole lot of big movers so far. Kentucky's gotten Baylor offensive lineman Colton Price. Nebraska's gotten Iowa State offensive lineman Brendan Black, and Florida State hasn't gotten a commitment yet, but has a crystal ball for Bryant Williams, the offensive tackle from University of Louisiana. The tight end Luke Reynolds is going from Penn State to Virginia Tech. Benjamin Brahmer is going from Iowa State to Penn State. Some other moves, Dorian Thomas, New Mexico, looking to make that move to UCLA. Walker Lyons from USC, hopefully to join his brother there at BYU. Javonte Connor making the move from East Carolina to Vanderbilt, and Hayden Hansen going from Florida to Oklahoma, as also Gabe Burkle from Iowa State to Penn State. Some defensive linemen, there are some big names in here. Chaz Coleman, I know LSU, Tennessee, Texas Tech, all fighting over the 5-star edge rusher from Penn State. Mateen Abirogba, defensive lineman from Wake Forest. Again, everybody in the country wants him. Jaden Woods, an edge rusher from Florida. Davian Tompkins. And then obviously Indiana's already got a commitment from Kansas State edge rusher Toby Osunsomni, and Wendell Gregory from Oklahoma State to Texas Tech. A couple other guys I believe are in the portal to spot as well. To linebacker K. Duval from Cal. It's going to be the number one guy in the portal. Really, anybody can get him. A couple other guys, Rasheem Biles, Omar Graham, Owen Long. These are your middle linebackers. It's kind of just pick and choose. Kamori House, I know, is going to be one that Tennessee's looking at. Leona Lafau is going from Texas to BYU. Austin Romaine going from Kansas State to Texas Tech. The defensive back, Coy Perch, is the guy that you want, transferring from Minnesota. Where's he going to go, though? Perch seems to be a guy that you can get on both sides of the ball. He can play receiver. He can play safety. Really interesting to see where he ends up. Auburn safety or cornerback Jay Crawford is committed to Ole Miss. But some other guys still made some big time plays this year, still in the portal. Smith Snowden, Boo Carter, Jontez Williams, some big name guys in there as well. Special teams, Reese Dakin, the punter from Iowa, is in the portal. Is the number one punter in the portal. Not sure where we'll see him go. David Alano, the kicker from Illinois, is already committed to Texas A&M. A couple of other guys in the portal as well. Evan Noel from Florida. Townsend McGow from Auburn. Just a couple of guys. The kicker and punter. Michael Kern and Abram Murray, both from Cal, have entered the portal. So some interesting moves there, but interesting early look at the portal. We'll take a look real quick just to see if anything else crazy has happened this morning, because it seems that within 5 minutes everything can change. Nothing in the last hour or so. We will now. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we return, we are going to get you caught back up on everything college basketball. Some teams that can win it all, disappointments, surprises, some best freshmen, best coaches. We'll look at the opening weekend of conference play. We're going to look at some games that are happening earlier this week, and then an AP Top 25 at the top of the hour. That will be when we return on the Mark My Words College Sports Show.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Arts, crafts, stationery, journals, books, educational toys, wrapping paper, devotionals, greeting cards, and much more can all be found at Paper and Thread in downtown Lawrenceburg. Shop local to find the perfect gift or have a custom gift basket made for just the right occasion. Paper and Thread has a party room now available for birthdays, classes, and so much more. We could go on and on about all the neat things you'll find at Paper and Thread, but you just need to hop in your car and head down there. 106 North Military Avenue in Lawrenceburg is where you'll find them and discover what makes Paper and Thread awesome. That's Paper and Thread in downtown Lawrenceburg, 106 North Military Avenue, just north of the square.
Mac Brown has been providing photographic services for 55 years. During that time, Mac Brown photographers have photographed children, seniors, weddings, schools, musicians, and commercial businesses. The studio takes great pride in producing quality photographs and services for its many clients. While the studio has adapted as times have changed, their goal of providing excellent photography has remained constant. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website at macbrownphoto.com or give them a call at 931-762-4263. Let the professionals at Mac Brown Photography turn your memories into treasures.
The Raptor Series from Hustler Turf. A premium line of residential mowers designed with a wide stance for operator comfort. A one-piece 11-gauge steel frame and welded steel deck for added durability. Finished off with premium Kawasaki V-twin power. We are Hustler Turf, and this is Hustler Country.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. College basketball. Listen, on this show, I've done a pretty bad job keeping up with it. I'll admit where I'm at fault there, but because quite frankly, I'm not sure if we've talked about it more than once since Christmas, and you know it's already January 5th now, so it's been a little bit since we've talked about it. So a quick refresher. So I've done some kind of superlative category type of things. Just to kind of get everybody back in the swing of things. Things that realistically can win it all. I think there's only two, but I did put four up here. I think Michigan and Arizona are still miles above everyone else. I mean, it just feels like every time you want to check the score and see, oh, did somebody get them? Or if they had some close games, they just continue to just beat everybody by 20, by 30. I mean, Utah Saturday got the rough end of the Arizona. You know, only a 19-point game, but I mean they were beating Bethune by 30. They were beating South Dakota State by 30. San Diego State gave them a bit of a game in that Hall of Fame series in Phoenix back right before Christmas, but other than that, nobody has given them a game. I mean, Florida, 6 points early in the year was a fun game. That close game against UCLA doesn't look as great right now, but I mean, a couple of early games that are close in November that now you're just beating the crap out of everybody in January. You know, props to Arizona and what they got going on there, but also Michigan. If I can find the Big Ten over here. I swear sometimes the apps are just extremely difficult to... Yes, Michigan, there they are, 13-0. I mean, they beat a ranked team Friday night by 30. I mean, it's just silly. Everybody they played in the month of December, you beat Rutgers by 41. You beat Villanova by 28. You beat Maryland by 18. That was close. Yeah, that's a Maryland team that has struggled. You beat LaSalle by 52, and then you beat McNeese by 41. So you didn't have a close game in December. Your close games in November, you had a weird overtime game with Wake Forest, who have now kind of come back to down to earth, and with TCU. But after that, you beat Middle Tennessee State by 25. You beat San Diego State by 40. You beat Auburn by 30, and then you beat Gonzaga by 40. I mean, just absolutely impressive. They will play Tuesday night against Penn State. That Penn State team has already given up, has already shown that they've struggled defensively this season. You know, they gave Lamar Wilkinson a 44-point outing. But still, a lot of season left. I'd throw Duke and Houston in there as well, just because, I think Duke has one of the 2 or 3 most talented rosters in the country right now. Just watch them play. It looks like a junior NBA team. Now, they've had a bit of a rough start to conference play. Only a 6-point win over Georgia Tech, but, you look. Cam Boozer was still doing everything. All of your starters scored over 10 points. It's a defense that struggled a little bit in that game. Shooting percentage wasn't great, but you get 26 and 12 from Boozer. That's we'll talk about more about him in a little bit. And then that game against Florida State on Saturday, only a 4-point win, one that you really didn't ever get control of. Boozer goes for 17 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists. Isaiah Evans, 6 of 14 from 3, 28 points for him. He looks good for Duke, but again, I think Duke probably up there with one of the better teams in the country. Just they surely, their one loss on the year was a 1-point loss to Texas Tech back on Saturday, December 20th, to a very good Texas Tech team that we'll be talking about a good bit more in this episode. And Houston, I throw Houston in there as well. They've kind of fallen under the radar. Because they're not undefeated. They had that loss to Tennessee at the end of November. But following that, they looked really good against Florida State. They dominated Jackson State, dominated New Orleans, got a good win over Arkansas that same Saturday. 9-point win over MTSU, a little shaky there. And then, they started conference play Saturday against Cincinnati, a 7-point win there. It hasn't been great, but they're not going to be a team that you see just puts up like 90 and beats you 90-25. They're good defensively, but they're not going to do that. But I do think this Houston team has a lot more options when it comes to scoring. It felt like last year, if it wasn't Uzan and Sharp putting up 20 apiece, they were going to struggle to score. Tugler wasn't a scorer, guys like that. But now this year they have Miles Uzan, Kingston Fleming, I think 2 of the better 1-2 punches at the guard positions in the country, because they can both play 35 minutes a game with, I would say, combined maybe 4 turnovers, 2 each. Flemings fills up the stat sheets against Cincinnati on Saturday. 19 points, 6 assists, 5 steals, only 1 turnover. But then you got Signac and Tugler, who are going to out-rebound and pretty much destroy everybody in the paint. But Sharp can score as well. You got some guys you bring off the bench, Sahoko, Harwell, Mercy Miller. Those guys are all really good. And I think can provide a lot for Utah or for Houston down the stretch. And Kelvin Sampson's one of the best coaches in the country. Biggest disappointments so far. First off, I got to do the Kentucky Wildcats. It may seem rather funny saying that Kentucky, Kentucky sucks coming from a Tennessee guy, but I don't think you'll find a Kentucky fan that's been somewhat remotely pleased with how they've played this year. 9-5 through 14 games. Got destroyed in the conference opener at Alabama. But you look. What was the $15 million or so much worth? Because Kentucky basketball NIL is incredibly high. I believe this year it was rumored somewhere around the $15 million range. Actually, $22 million. This is from Lexington Herald Leader, so I would say that's a relatively good source. But you spend $20 million, what some teams don't even spend on football, on basketball, and you lose at Louisville, get destroyed by Michigan State. Honestly, you kind of got destroyed by Louisville. Then you go to December, close game at home against North Carolina. You get smoked by Gonzaga. You get a nice win at home versus Indiana. You get a nice win at home versus St. John's. And then you start conference play off on the wrong step. You go 11 days without a game. You look a little rusty. I will see the Wildcats back on the court at home against Missouri on Wednesday. That should be a pretty interesting one, really, to see where they're at up to this point. It feels weird having a team with a number by their name on this, but next I got to do Florida. Again, 9-5 throughout the year. Still have a number by their name as of 11:37 a.m. Central Time. I will assume that would change at the top of the hour when the AP poll will drop. Let's look at Florida. Obviously, tried to splash big in the portal, but they're losing from last year's team. Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, and why can't I think of his name? Will Richard. those three guys, the guards, awesome. I mean, you can't ask for much more than Walter Clayton. I mean, he was awesome. Elisha Martin had some moments. Will Richard was a great shooter and a great driver, and even better defender. And you brought your post players back. You brought back Alex Condon. You brought back Ruben Chinyolu. Like, okay, we got to replace these guards. We're gonna go get Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee out of the portal. Well, Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee haven't played great at all. Now, Florida did open up conference play with a loss at Missouri in a game that, again, they never really got in control of. I mean, Thomas Houck was awesome, and he's a big piece to bring back. It was nice to get him back, but Ruben Chinyolu, 8 points. Alex Condon, 14 points, but it was all off free throws. I mean, 3 for 8, and you're 7 feet tall, and you're playing 2 feet from the basket. That's not a great look. Boogie Fland, 2 for 10. Xavier Lee, 4 for 10. This team can't shoot. We've seen talented teams that just can't score the basketball, and this is a great example. I mean, Missouri's got 6 guys going over 9 points. Gators definitely an interesting team to watch early this season. I don't think that they have completely fallen off, because I didn't think they were going to be very good this year. What was their preseason ranking, like 6 or something? 3? I mean, sometimes I wish people would look at the rankings they're putting out before they put them out. I mean, you had Florida football ranked 13th to start the season, South Carolina like 11 or 12. I mean, you can tell these teams aren't going to be great when the season starts. I could have told you they're going to be sitting around the 20s most of the season if they're ranked, because they're asking a lot from guards. You're pretty much getting new quarterbacks from different conferences, different leagues, different levels. I mean, Xavier Lee played at Princeton. Nothing against him. He was great at Princeton, but Princeton to the SEC is a big jump. Same, Fland. Okay, he was a 5-star freshman last year, but missed most of the year because of an injury. So he wasn't even the primary point guard for that Arkansas team for the majority of the year. So he's relatively a freshman still. And you're asking them to run your team that just won the national championship. When you had a ton of NBA draft picks, I think it was just asking a bit much. So relatively on the thing, I don't think they should necessarily be looked at as a disappointment, but I do think that number that was beside their name to start the season put them in a bad spot. St. John's, the Reds. Listen, they've had a rough season, and another team that I think was ranked way too high, way too early. Now, do I, kind of the same thing with Florida. Do I think St. John's is a bad team? No. But they had a 5 by their name to start the year. You watched this team all year last year, as did I. They were fun. They were really good defensively, but they couldn't shoot. And they brought in more guys that can't shoot. I mean, their leading scorer right now is Zuby Ejiofor, who's giving you 15 points a game. But other than that, you're not getting a guard to give you more than 10 a game. You're 2-1 in conference play. You can look at that how you want to. That one loss is to Providence from Saturday. How? I mean, you get 30 points from Zuby Ejiofor, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, but nobody else made more than 3 shots. 3 of 13 from Hopkins, 1 of 12 from Senon, 3 of 10 for Sellers, 1 of 8 from Jackson. He's not turning the ball over as much anymore, but it doesn't matter when you're losing games because nobody can score. They're gonna, they're either gonna have to learn how to score, which is not something you can learn to do overnight, or gonna have to really lock it up on defense, because right now, 70. If they can get to 70, it'll be a blessing. Because looking at what they've scored in some games, 108 and 96 in their first 2, and you're like, whoa, 93, 97. Then they go play Iowa State, score 82, 96 against Baylor, and then it's 74 against Auburn. You're like, wait a minute, that was November. December, 63, 91 against Iona, 79, 66, 85, 95. So their offense very inconsistent. I think their defense is going to have to lock it up. But St. John's, I think, wildly overrated to start the season. I think that they're going to get back into it, but, I mean, they're going to be one of those teams that's an 8 or 9 seed that you don't want to see in the second round of the tournament. Oregon, I also think a big disappointment. Now, nobody saw Oregon going scorched earth this year and running the Big Ten or anything, but you see the stat every year. Their coach won 20 games in a row or 20 games in a season for blah, blah, blah. They struggle against Hawaii, game 1. Struggle against Rice, game 2. Struggle against South Dakota State. Then they get a nice win over Oregon. Then they fall to Auburn, get blown out by San Diego State, and lose to Creighton. Now they went 0 for 3 in the Players Era Festival, and probably had the easiest matchups out of a combination of 3 teams. That was probably the best you could have hoped for, and they looked bad. Then you go to December. Lost to USC, lost to UCLA. Get a win over UC Davis, cool. Get a win over Portland, cool. You look pretty good against Gonzaga, and then you blow out Omaha. You get a nice win over Maryland, but they're going to be a bottom feeder in the Big Ten. If you watch that game on Friday, I apologize. That was awful game. I mean, the winning team shot pretty good. The losing team shot really, really bad. I mean, it was a bunch of second chance opportunities for Maryland. They just cannot shoot. Oregon actually started to look a little bit better in this one, but definitely going to need to fix something up with Kai Simpkins or Nate Biddle and try to fix this offense and give them a little more pep in their step, a little more of a spark, so to speak. Rutgers and Ohio State is their next 2 games. I think this will be a good week to get right, because after that you got Nebraska, Michigan, and Michigan State all in a row within a 7-day span, so not looking fun there for the Ducks. Now, the biggest surprises of the year, we're not going to talk about all negativity. I mean, that was a pretty negative segment right there, but those are all teams that realistically I don't think are going to live up to their expectations this year, because I think they were set probably I think most of those teams were got unreal expectations set for them, mainly Florida and St. John's, and they just haven't been able to live up to them to this point. But I mean, it's January 5th. Tournament ends in April, so you got some time to fix things. Now, back to those surprises. Vanderbilt. Has anybody been a bigger surprise in college basketball this year than Vanderbilt? You know, they kind of burst on, a lot like their football team, they kind of burst onto the scene last year, but you weren't sure if they were going to stick around. You know, get shipped out early in the tournament. Where do you go from there? Well, they scored 105 their first 2 games of the season. They scored over 100 more than 4 times in November. They did it. They got close one more time in December, and then a pretty good win over South Carolina to start conference play. We'll find out Wednesday how real they are. But man, I mean, has anybody looked better than them offensively to start the season? You know, looking at stats, you got Duke Miles leading the team in scoring at 17 a game. Tyler Tanner's giving you 16 and 6 assists. Tyler Nichols, an outstanding shooter, shooting 50%, 49% from 3, 53% from the field. These guys' shooting numbers are unreal. You got Devin McLaughlin, 10.7 boards a game. That's awesome. 10 points, 5 rebounds from Jalen Washington. This team knows what they want out of these guys, and they're going to get it. A.K. Okariki, Tyler Harris, Frankie Collins, all playing their role. Man, Vanderbilt's good, folks. We're going to find out more about them early in conference play, but they're the real deal. Now, let's talk about Virginia Tech, the Hokies. I don't know exactly what the expectations were, but we could say this for both Virginia and Virginia Tech. But whoa, I mean, where did these teams come out of? Now, obviously, Virginia Tech fell to Wake Forest by 3 on Saturday, but Valdez, he had a rough game on Saturday, but he has been an incredible surprise this year. Amani Hansberry, Jalen Bedford, those guys have been really good for Virginia Tech. Now, I don't think this is a team that can make a run and win it all in the tournament or anything, but they could be a shocker team. Let's talk about Virginia. I want to throw them in there with Virginia Tech because right now on the season, the Cavaliers, see if we can find them real quick, are 12-2, same record as Virginia Tech. Both teams 1-1 in conference play. And I believe that's because Virginia Tech won the conference opener. Yes, and 3 overtimes. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's crazy Virginia and Virginia Tech can have a shootout now, but that seems to be the case. Again, I think a welcome surprise when Tony Bennett, kind of exited stage left before last season. You didn't know where Virginia was going or where Virginia was going to be. And last year wasn't great, but this year has been awesome. Ryan Odom took over. has been the guy this year. Was at VCU. Was the coach of that UMBC team that made that incredible run. Was the first 16 seed to ever win a game, and now he's at Virginia and leading the Cavaliers back to great things. I think he deserves a shout as much as anybody. Nebraska, Fred Hoiberg. Where did this team come from? Nebraska and basketball just aren't two things I put together. They're one of those teams has a basketball team and has maybe a cool buzzer beater win over Purdue or Michigan every once in a while, but man, they have really initiated themselves into the world this year. I thought, okay, cool, they got a nice win over Oklahoma and Kansas State, but when they get in the conference play, it's not going to work. Well, they got a 30-point win over Wisconsin to start conference play, then a buzzer beater 3 at Illinois. And then, back to conference play Friday, they get a win in a defensive slugfest against Michigan State. They out Tom Izzo. And it's really a collection of guys. It's not just one guy doing everything for them. And they're able to play, many different ways. They can play high-scoring games. They can play low-scoring games. Rank Moss giving you 16 a game. Price Sanford giving you 16 a game. Braden Frager, 12 points. Jamarquez Lawrence, 9 points. Sam Hoiberg, coach's kid, giving you 8 points a game. This is a lot like that South Carolina team from a couple years ago that just kept winning games, and then eventually they're in the top 10 out of nowhere. I don't want them to do this to this Nebraska team because I do think that they're somewhere in the 8 to 12 range, probably a 3 seed in the tournament, maybe a 4 seed. They're going to be incredibly good defensively. And I was kind of struggling who to look for this last surprise team, but I think I got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. They're not a team that I typically think of as being one that you would be scared of in the SEC. Going into the year, they were picked probably lower middle half of the pack, and that might even be a bit too high. And all they've done is come out to the year with 13-1 start, second best record in the SEC. And that one loss, let's see if I can find it real quick. It was a 3-point loss to Clemson in a Thanksgiving tournament. That was on November 23rd. It's been a month and a half since then. This team scores. They score a lot. They've talk about Vandy. This team scored 120 points in a game. They scored over 120 twice in November, scored over 103 times, went over 103 more times in December, and have already done it once in January. We talk about that Vanderbilt offense. Look out for the Bulldogs, and you'd expect, they have a guy averaging like 25 a game? No, Jeremiah Wilkins, 18, Blue Kane, 16, Marcus Millender's at 12, Cyril at 10, Catchings at 8, Jordan Ross at 8, Jake Wilkins at 7. They have 11 guys that play more than 12 minutes a game. And all 11 of those guys average at least 4 points a game. And this may be the first team I've seen this for, but they have a different person that leads the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Different guy for every single one of them. Mike White isn't a coach in the SEC that typically you fear, but he's put a squad together this year. And you know what? If they're not going to stop you defensively, they sure are going to try to outscore you. Now, let's talk about some of the best young guys, because college basketball is the sport that is usually year in and year out kind of controlled by the freshmen. So who are some of the best ones to look out for? You probably know most of them. Everybody knows, Cam Boozer, obviously. Was number 2 player in the country out of Duke. You go to stats, and he's one of your leading scorers, one of your leading, everything feels like. But Cam Boozer on the year has played in 14 games, averaging about 32 minutes a game, 23 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists, 2 blocks, or 2 steals and a block a game. That's incredible. Just looking at the competition that Duke has played this year, could you look at the teams he's played? Going back to the beginning of the year, Texas puts up 15 on them, 15 and 12 on them. Kansas 18 and 11. Arkansas 35 and 9. Florida 29 and 6. Michigan State 18 and 15. in their loss to Texas Tech, he goes for 23 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. And Georgia Tech, 26-12, 17-5 against Florida State with 9 assists. He's do it all for you. I think he's the best freshman in the country. I think he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. This Duke team is a lot like last year's Duke team. They're all extremely talented, and that's just about the best way I can put it. AJ DeBanza, obviously the number 1 guy. He was the number 1 recruit in the country. Who goes to BYU. Has a bit of a slow start to the year. 21 here, 17 there, 18 here. Then that UConn game, he goes for 25 points. Okay. Then that Wisconsin game, goes for 18 points. Figuring it out. Since we'll say since the start of December, 22 points, 28 points, 26 points, 23 points, 35 points, a 33-point triple-double, and 24 points. That's going to play. And he's extremely talented as well. He's had a triple-double. That doesn't happen a lot in college basketball, I can tell you that much. Now, our next freshman, we're going to go back. We're going to go to the SEC. See if I can find him real quick. There he is, Darius Acuff Jr., freshman out of Detroit, plays for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, is it recency bias because I just watched him have a 29-point game against Tennessee on Saturday? Or is it because 2 Saturdays before I saw him have 27 points, 7 rebounds, or 5 rebounds and 7 assists against Houston? I don't know, but freshmen shouldn't do that. He was incredible against Tennessee. Had some rough shooting there at the end, but for the most part was flawless against the Vols. But he's been doing this all year. He scored below 20 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and most of those were in games that he wasn't having to do all the scoring. And that's the thing about this Arkansas team. He is never going to have to do all the scoring. Oh, and this Arkansas team, their 3 losses, Houston, Duke, Michigan State. And they have wins over Tennessee, Texas Tech, Louisville. So they've played their fair share of tough games. I think Arkansas is going to be a scary team to watch in the SEC. It's funny how fast Kentucky has fallen since John Calipari has left, and how quickly Arkansas has risen to the same effect. Last freshman I got up there is a guy that's just a stat sheet stuffer. That's kind of what he's known for. But man, Caleb Wilson for North Carolina. I think the ACC has 2 of the best front court players in the country, both as freshmen. 19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. This feels like another. I can't think of his name now. Armando Bacot for the 20 and 10 guy. But this this is more of a Tyler Hansbrough than a Bacot because Bacot wasn't scoring. Caleb Wilson can fill it up, and you look at some of his his game log. He shoots pretty good, gets a bunch of rebounds. Not much more you can ask for him. From a freshman, especially on one of the better teams in the country, and in North Carolina. I think they're one that kind of flies under the radar, but they are really good. I think there's a couple other guys you can shout out as well. 2 weeks ago, I probably would have put Michael Brown on here. Now I just don't think I can. He's had a rough couple of weeks. Now he's still averaging 17 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, but he's played a little lackluster as of late. I think he's got a tremendous ceiling, but I think Louisville's asking him to shoulder a bit too much as a freshman, and that's an incredibly talented team. I also think you should give Darren Peterson his flowers. This kid's extremely talented. His stats don't look incredible. 20.6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Has only played in 5 games. Did play Saturday against UCF in that loss, but had 26 points. This team is so much better when he's on the court than without him. Even though half of their losses have been with him on the court, I think there would have been worse losses without him. And he was probably he's a guy that I think will be a top 5 pick, maybe top 2 or 3. I think him and DeBanza and Boozer are going to be the top 3 picks in the draft. He's got a lot of comparisons to Cade Cunningham, and you've seen what he's done for the Detroit Pistons in short work time. Best coaching jobs of the year so far. This kind of goes in with best surprises, teams that can win it all kind of things, teams with the best freshmen. Dusty May at Michigan. Not that he didn't do a great job last year, but to go from a second round exit in the tournament last year, maybe a third round exit in the tournament last year, a good year, but nothing crazy. I'd say just a good year for Michigan basketball, to becoming an absolute juggernaut overnight. Their roster is amazing. You got Yaxel Lindeborg. The transfer from UAB has been awesome. Elliot Cadeau has been really good. Ade Mara, he's going to get you 8 boards and 3 blocks a night. You can't ask for much more than that. On top of 10 points. They got 5 guys averaging 10. At least 8 guys averaging 8. They don't play nearly as many guys each game, but they are really dangerous. Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. Again, I think one of his best coaching jobs. At this time last year, well, maybe a little earlier, 2 weeks earlier, Arizona was not going to make the NCAA tournament, and Lloyd may have realistically been slightly on the hot seat. I'm not going to say he's the guy that's on the hot seat because he's not a coach that goes on the hot seat. And now he's got Arizona with a one by their name. They've beaten the defending national champions already this year, and they haven't lost. And realistically, they haven't had a whole lot of big scares either, which I think just makes Arizona so good. Mark Byington at Vanderbilt, I think he's done an excellent job. And a team that I haven't mentioned yet, TJ Otzelberger in Iowa State. The Cyclones have been dominant this year in many of the same ways that we've seen from the Arizonas, the Michigans, because, they went on the road to Purdue to start December last month, actually a month ago tomorrow, and beat them by 23. Then you beat Iowa in a close one in that rivalry game, and then you open up Big 12 play last weekend, or I guess Friday, on January 2nd, Friday, and you beat West Virginia by 21 points. That's really good. I got Baylor on Wednesday, Oklahoma State on Saturday, so won't really have too big of a threat here in the month of January. But in February, you got Kansas, you got Houston, you got BYU all in a row. You got Texas Tech once that month, and in March, you got Arizona. That's going to be a super fun game. If those teams can stay where they are, and that's a 1 versus 2 matchup in March, I think Fred Hoiberg deserves some flowers for what he's done this year, and I've talked about him, and I've also talked about Tom Izzo and Michigan State, what they've done this year, and Mike White. Scoring 120 points in a men's college basketball game is unheard of. Well, I'm not going to say it's unheard of, but I think it's just a stupidly absurd stat. Now, let's go to conference winners. Now, it is January 5th, 2026. Conference championship weekend is in March, middle of March, 3.5 months. But who do I think are going to be the conference winners as of now? I'm going to say this is a mix between conference regular season and conference tournament. Right now in the ACC, it's Duke's title. There are some other teams in the ACC that I think can fight for it right now, North Carolina being one of them. We haven't seen them and the Blue Devils face off yet, but when we do, that's going to be a good one. Also in the ACC, I honestly don't know. Cal has been, Cal and Cal, Virginia, Stanford, they've all been really good this year. Virginia Tech, Louisville has been a little bit disappointing. I think they can give some people some trouble, as can NC State, but I think right now Duke, maybe North Carolina's conference to win. In the Big East, Big East has struggled this year. It's got to be UConn, and if it's not, maybe Villanova. They've played Michigan somewhat closer than most teams. They only lost by 28 when other teams are losing by like 40. I'll go with Villanova. They've gotten some good wins over Seton Hall, DePaul, and Butler early in conference play. So I'm going to go with UConn, but watch out for Villanova. In the Big Ten, it's Michigan. And it sucks because there's so many good teams in the Big Ten. But right now, Michigan is way above everybody else. Now, I'd like to see a Michigan and a Purdue go head-to-head. I think that would be a great game. Michigan and Nebraska. Those are your teams that are right up there at the top. I think you could go as far down as Illinois, saying they win it. Because, as long as they're consistent, which is asking a lot, they can be really good. But I think limit this to the top 4, really. Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, Nebraska. Right now it's Michigan. We'll see what they're... And they don't have a ranked matchup and another ranked matchup until until Nebraska at the end of the month and Michigan State. They play Purdue and Duke the same week in February there at the end of the month with Illinois, and then Iowa and Michigan State to end of March. So their schedule is one that will get stronger as the season goes on, which I think favors the way they play. Big 12, Arizona, kind of the same thing with Michigan here. Once they prove that they're not just going to blow everybody out, I'll pick somebody else. Arizona and Iowa State are right there too. I mean, you got number 1 and number 3 in the country, and then you also have the number 1 pick in the draft and AJ DeBanza in there. Oh, Houston, made it to the national championship. They're still really good. We'll take a look at some early games this week. Not a whole lot. Still teams trying to get back and start the new year and with conference play and all that stuff. Nebraska and Ohio State tonight at 5:30 on FS1. Ohio State 3-point favorite on that one. Nebraska putting that 14-0 record on the line. I like Hoiberg, man. Until that team loses, you got to prove to me that you can beat them. A really good one. Number 24 USC at number 9 Michigan State at 7:30 on FS1. Michigan State Sparty getting about 11.5 in this one. I see Michigan State controlling this. As bad as USC got beat by Michigan this past weekend, I think tells you a lot about how this game's going to go. I don't think it'll be as bad, but USC is still got a lot of way to go with Eric Musselman. Chad Baker-Mazara's had a great year, but they need a little bit more if they're going to compete with teams like Michigan and Michigan State and Purdue. Tuesday, we've got some good ones. Duke and Louisville. This could be your preview of your ACC championship. You got Duke at 13-1, Louisville 11-3. This one at 6 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow. An interesting one if you're a big college basketball fan. If not, probably won't watch this one. But UCF and Oklahoma State right now. UCF 12-1, Oklahoma State 12-2. Poll just came out 5 minutes ago, so we'll look at that in a minute. As of now, neither of those teams are ranked, and they will probably be bubble teams when it comes to the tournament time. But what if they're not? What if they're actually pretty good, and this is a big matchup you want to go back and look at? I like UCF in this one just because they've been so tough to stop this year. Give me the Knights. TCU at Kansas, that one will be at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Again, Kansas has looked really good. TCU's given some teams some fits, like Michigan. Kansas did really struggle against UCF on Saturday. It's at the Fog, though, on a Tuesday night. Give me Kansas. Texas Tech at Houston at 8 p.m. on FS1. This is going to be a good one. I think Texas Tech is playing their best basketball right now, and I think they're going to give Houston their second loss. JT Toppin, you can try sending Tugler and Signac Jr. at him, but I think he's just going to foul them both out, and then that's just going to leave him to feast, and he's a guy that can go give you 30 and 20 anytime. Georgia and Florida, these are two teams that, again, are on opposite trajectories. We have a team in my biggest surprises, and we have a team in my biggest disappointments. Georgia's scoring a lot, and I don't know if Florida can keep up with them scoring-wise, so I'm going to go with Georgia. Texas at number 19, Tennessee. That one at 8 o'clock on the SEC Network. We'll see in a couple minutes, but Tennessee's still trying to keep that streak of, they've been on the AP Top 25 since I've been to school there. And that was my freshman year, was when they jumped back in that Top 25, and they have not left it since. Texas early in the season have some interesting matchups. Like they have a matchup with Duke that doesn't look too bad, but they've been one of the bottom tier teams in the SEC. And if you watch what Josh Hubbard did to them on Saturday, going for 38, and Jaden Epps had a very quiet 27 in that one as well. Texas has got some guys that can score. Tremont Mark, Dalen Swain, Kendall Weaver. They've got guys like that, but they haven't seen what I think they can get out of guys, and they've really struggled against higher-ranked opponents. I see Tennessee doing more of the same, but if Texas can get a big win, that would really help them, as the following week they got Alabama and Vanderbilt. So we will now look at our new men's AP Top 25. If I can pull that up real quick. Men's basketball AP poll. If we can get that to load real quick. Love when everything decides to be slow and I want to be quick with something. Okay, so it looks like that tab doesn't want to work. There we go. All right. That is not the AP Polls website. Here we go. Our Week 9 men's AP poll. We will start at the bottom at number 25. And one of those teams I wasn't sure if they were going to be in there or not. Number 25, UCF at 12-1. Got a win over Kansas on Saturday. Really close between them and Villanova. Villanova at 26. Florida has dropped out. SMU at number 24 at 12-2. One of those losses being to Vanderbilt, who is really good. Down 2 spots from 21 to 23. We have Virginia. 22, Kansas fell 5 spots. At number 21, Tennessee, 10-4, fell 2 spots. At number 20, Louisville, who has fallen 4 spots after a loss to Stanford on Saturday. Iowa up 6 spots after their win over UCLA, and Georgia up 5 spots after their win at Auburn. Now at number 17, you have North Carolina after they fell by 14 to SMU. You're starting to kind of figure out where some teams really sit at. Illinois going up 4 spots following their 8-point win over Penn State. Arkansas up 3 spots after their win over Tennessee. Texas Tech up 1 spot over. Arkansas and Texas Tech quite literally played a couple of weeks ago, when Arkansas won that game, and yet Arkansas is below Texas Tech. Okay. Alabama up 1 spot to number 13 after their win against Kentucky. Vandy stays put at 11. Michigan State down 3 spots to 12. Nebraska up 3 spots to number 10. BYU up 1 spot to 9. Gonzaga down 1 spot to number 8. They're 16-1 on the year and fell. I guess they just wanted to move Houston up a spot. I mean, those two teams are really neck and neck. Houston up 1 spot to number 7, and the top 6 remains the same, with Duke at 6, Purdue at 5, UConn at 4, Iowa State at 3, Michigan at 2, and Arizona at 1. The 61 first place votes spread out relatively evenly. 32 to Arizona, 29 to Michigan. Those two teams quite literally 1 point separating 1 and 2. 1494 points to Arizona, 1493 points to Michigan. Man, that is going to be a good one. So that will be it for today's show. On Wednesday, we will come back. We will look at all the games that we just talked about moments ago for that Monday, those Monday and Tuesday games. We will look at the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games, and actually, we may save the Friday games. We might look at the Wednesday and Thursday games, but since the games are on Thursday and Friday, we have a college football playoff preview show. That will be on Wednesday. We're going to look at both the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. We have Oregon, Indiana. We have Ole Miss, Miami. We're going to get into all of it. We'll have injury reports. We'll have everything to break down on Wednesday. So that will do it for this Monday edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. We will see you on Wednesday.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.